I've lived in Thailand for almost 15 years. I've watched men land wide-eyed and leave wrecked. I've watched women build actual empires out of nothing. And the whole time I've watched a story get told about this place that's just wrong. Not wrong in the easy-to-laugh-off way. Wrong in the way that leaves out everything that actually matters. So here's what nobody else is going to tell you. There are two completely different types of women working the bar scene in Thailand, and almost nobody talks about the split. And honestly, I get why. Most tourists aren't here long enough to see it. They fly in for 10 days, decide they've cracked the code, fly home. They never stick around to see what it looks like 5 years later. Let me break it down. Group 1 is playing the short game. High volume, fast cash, a rotating cast of foreign guys. Money comes in fast, goes out just as fast. A big chunk of these women come out of Isean Buriram, Surin, Roy Et. That whole northeastern belt, some of the poorest provinces in the country. In a lot of those towns, you're looking at household incomes that don't touch what a woman in a Pattaya or Bangkok bar can pull in a single night. So when you understand the math, the migration stops being a mystery. It's just arithmetic. But here's the catch with the short game. The clock starts the second you walk in the door. This industry treats 28 like the beginning of the end. Start at 20, you've got maybe 7 or 8 good years before the numbers stop working for you. Meanwhile, younger girls keep arriving from the provinces. The competition never eases off. It just gets sharper. And the health cost is real. It's just invisible from the outside. Drinking isn't optional in this line of work, it's structural. Bars make their money on lady drinks, so keeping a guy buying rounds is the job. Do that 5 nights a week for years and your liver knows about it. Burnout's common. So is the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. By her early 30s, a woman in the short game is often out of options at the exact moment she's out of money. And I'll come back to why the money disappears, because there's a reason for that most people never even consider. Group 2 is playing a completely different game. Not volume focus. One guy, maybe two. A long, patient, deliberate play. They're building something that functions like a relationship, because for what they need, that's exactly what it is. And when it works, it's not fake. I'm not guessing here. I've watched it happen. Women in their late 30s who own property outright because foreigners can't own land in Thailand, so the title lands in her name by default, no workaround needed. Car paid off, kids in private school, financial independence that has nothing to do with bar work anymore. There's a financial mechanism most Westerners have never even heard of, and it changes the whole picture. Sin sod. Traditional dowry paid by the groom's side to the bride's family before a wedding is recognized as legitimate. Amounts range from a token gesture to genuinely serious money, sometimes hundreds of thousands of baht, depending on the family and the region. Foreign men get hit with this constantly, and most have no clue it's an actual cultural institution, not a shakedown someone invented for tourists. Some of it gets handed straight back to the couple as a wedding gift. Some of it doesn't. Either way, it's a formalized, socially sanctioned transfer of wealth that predates the entertainment industry by centuries. Calling it a scam just means you didn't do your homework. Here's the bit that should mess with your assumptions. The women tourists and expats love to slap the gold digger label on the ones who want a real relationship, who ask for monthly support, who actually invest emotionally. Those are frequently the sharpest economic operators in the whole ecosystem. So who's actually running the strategy in this transaction? Sit with that one. Before we go further, you need to meet someone who shows up in almost every version of this story and almost never gets named. Walking street, early evening, before the tourist crowds properly landed. Thai guys on motorbikes pulling up down the side soys. A girl climbs off the back, quick goodbye, sometimes a kiss, sometimes nothing. He rides off. That guy almost certainly doesn't have a job, doesn't need one. His girlfriend does, and she's walking into her shift right now. Thai culture has a word for this. A kept man riding on a woman's income. No contract, no formal arrangement, just an understanding both people have quietly agreed to. It's not rare. It's not even unusual. And the bar industry didn't invent this dynamic sex tourism, just gave it a foreign funding source. An hour later, that same woman is sitting with a Western customer saying one of the most recycled lines in the entire scene. It's basically a script at this point. Thai men no good, always want money. I like Farang. You have kind heart. Tourists hear it and feel something relief, validation, like they've been let in on a secret. And sometimes they have been, genuinely. That dynamic can be exploitative, and some of that resentment is real. But that line is also marketing. It's built for exactly what Western men want to hear, because it's part true and part performance, and most guys can't tell which part they're getting. Now here's something almost nobody writing about Thailand ever mentions, because either they don't know or it's inconvenient for the story they're selling. There's a two-way intelligence network running across Pattaya, Bangkok, and Phuket. One side, private groups run by bar workers, not public, not searchable, where women trade photos and details on foreign guys. The one who haggled too hard, the one who skipped out on payment, the one who got violent, the one who promised things and vanished. Photos attached, names when they have got them, hotel details, sometimes even passport photos picked up off a receptionist. Organized, active, and the men being discussed have no idea any of it exists. The other side, expat forums that have been running for years, some with tens of thousands of posts, guys rating individual women by name. Will she ask for money? Will she cause drama? Some threads go back a decade plus. Both sides are doing the exact same thing. Risk assessment, due diligence, and that fact alone wrecks both of the lazy stories people reach for. The naive victim story doesn't survive contact with women running organized intel networks on their own clients. The predatory tourist story doesn't survive contact with guys being photographed and filed without their knowledge. This is a two-sided market. Both sides are protecting information, both sides are working an angle, and both sides know exactly what the transaction is. There's a third group I haven't mentioned, and it might be the biggest one. Women who work the bar every night, talk to customers, keep the drinks flowing, build the whole atmosphere the place runs on, and never go home with a client. Not once. That's the part nobody tells you, and it flips how you should think about the entire industry. A huge share of women in Thai bar culture are there to sell drinks. That's the actual job. Every Chang, every Leo, every lady drink generates a commission for the woman sitting at the table. In plenty of Pattaya and Bangkok bars, that's the whole income model. Bar makes money. She makes money. The guy gets company. Nobody's going anywhere. Some of these women never take a client home. Not because they can't, because they've chosen not to. Others do occasionally, when the price is right or they need extra that month. But the baseline job is drinks, not sex. Two different things. So why does the money actually disappear for the short game women? Here's the part nobody spells out. Every bar runs on a cut system. The mama-san running the floor takes a slice of every lady drink and every bar fine before the woman ever sees a baht of it. On top of that, most of these women aren't just supporting themselves. In East Zion culture, sending money home to parents, covering a brother's motorbike loan, paying a niece's school fees, isn't optional. It's expected. A woman can pull in 40,000 baht in a strong month and still walk away with a fraction of it, because 3 or 4 other people are drawing off that same income before she banks a single coin. That's the real reason the short game rarely builds anything lasting. Half the time it was never really her money to keep. Western media almost always treats works in a bar in Thailand as a synonym for sex worker. That framing's just wrong, and it doesn't just misdescribe the industry, it erases actual choices real women are making. Flatten everyone into one category and you lose the ability to understand any of it. Now, let's be careful with the trafficking conversation, because getting this wrong in either direction causes real damage. Most Thai women in the bar scene moved there by choice, plenty from Izan, knowing full well what kind of work was on offer. The income gap between Bangkok or Pattaya and a village in the northeast is enormous, and poverty explains the migration on its own. You don't need to reach for a trafficking narrative to explain someone choosing better paid work. That's not the same as saying it's all fine. Poverty limiting your real options is its own quiet form of coercion. Exploitation absolutely happens. Conditions can genuinely be rough. But exploitation isn't trafficking, and blurring the two does specific damage. Real trafficking exists in Thailand, but it's not concentrated on Walking Street or Nana Plaza where the tourists are. It's more likely in closed-door venues, certain massage operations, certain fishing and manufacturing supply chains, certain recruitment pipelines running people across borders under false promises. And the people most exposed to that aren't always Thai, often migrants from Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, crossing with fewer protections and almost nowhere to turn. When Western coverage lumps a Thai woman who chose to move to Pattaya in with a trafficked migrant in a closed-door operation, It helps neither of them. It erases one and misrepresents the other. And it means actual anti-trafficking resources get pointed at the wrong buildings. Here's what actually bothers me. While the coverage obsesses over the Thai bar scene, trafficking at a genuinely industrial scale is happening in places that barely get airtime. Labor trafficking in the Gulf, agricultural trafficking across parts of Southeast Asia, debt bondage running through corridors most people can't name. Those stories don't dominate the conversation the way Pattaya does, and I've thought about why. Neon and open storefronts make for great footage. The foreign man as villain is a story Western audiences find tidy and comfortable. Several Thai researchers and women's advocacy groups have pushed back hard on this, arguing that a lot of Western anti-trafficking work parachutes in with assumptions that don't hold locally, treats Thai women as incapable of deciding for themselves, and ends up reproducing exactly the kind of "we know better than you" dynamic it claims to be fighting. Some local sex worker advocacy groups have gone after rescue operations specifically for never asking the women being rescued what they actually wanted. That's not a comfortable thing to sit with. It doesn't mean trafficking isn't real. It means the fix isn't always the one that looks good on camera. Now let's flip the lens, because everyone analyzes the women in this, and nobody asks an honest question about the men. Who's actually sitting in these bars? And I mean that as a real question, not a setup. It's not one type of guy. There are older, divorced men from places where dating past 50 has turned genuinely brutal. A 55-year-old divorced guy with an average job and average looks is basically invisible in the dating markets back in the UK, the US, Australia. That's a documented pattern, not a sob story. Thailand offers those men something their own country stopped offering a decade ago. There are guys with social anxiety, guys on the spectrum, for whom Western dating culture is an impossible maze of unspoken rules. There are men in dead marriages who haven't felt warmth off another person in years. There are men who are just lonely in a way their home country has zero infrastructure for fixing. And yes, there's a smaller group of genuinely predatory guys who target vulnerability on purpose and cause real harm, but treating that group as the whole picture is the exact same analytical mistake as treating every bar worker as a trafficking victim. There's a structural reason so many of these guys are here for years, not weeks. Thailand's retirement visa lets a foreigner over 50 stay indefinitely on proof of income or a lump sum parked in a Thai bank account. No work required, no path back to relevance in a job market that stopped calling them years ago. So you're not just looking at men who visited and got swept up in the scene. You're looking at thousands who built an entire second life around it, permanently, with the paperwork to prove it. A lot of the women playing the long game are doing genuinely well, especially the ones with an overseas sponsor sending money every month. And that raises an uncomfortable question. A guy sends 15 or 20,000 baht a month to a woman he met in Pattaya. She calls him daily, remembers his kids' names, asks about his health, listens to him complain about work, gives him attention, company, a reason to get up in the morning. Easy to write that off as fake because money's involved, but the emotional labor is real. The time is real. The conversations are real. The connection he feels is real. She's providing something, even if what she's providing is emotional rather than physical. The uncomfortable question is whether that's actually different from any other form of paid companionship, or whether people only judge it because it's dressed up as romance instead of labeled as a transaction. 15 years watching this economy from the inside. I've watched women play the short game and end up with nothing at 34. I've watched women play the long game and end up with property, independence, options. I've watched men arrive lonely and leave feeling seen, even when part of what they were seeing was just a reflection of what they wanted to find. This was never a story about victims and predators. It's a story about people working real constraints with the tools they've got. The question was never who's exploiting who. The question is who you're actually willing to see clearly. Drop your take in the comments. After all that, who do you think gets misjudged more by outsiders? The Thai women working these bars, or the foreign men showing up looking for something they couldn't find at home? See you in the next one.